everybody. Welcome to our first ever episode of Built in the Bayou, where we talk about things faith, family, and business, the good, the bad, the ugly, what it's like to be part and run a small business in today's day and age in the off-road suspension world. Everybody knows Skyjacker, but not everybody knows the story or what it takes to actually run this brand successfully. So we'll touch on all that. Hear from a lot of exciting guests, talk about our history, and it's going to be fun, a good journey to explore topics and have some good conversation.
Yeah, we're really excited because this episode is about what 50 years doesn't tell you. So many people know who follow our brand that we just had a really successful 50-year anniversary. And with that, there were so many exciting things around it. And so for those of you who are new to our story and new to the brand, I just wanted to give a quick run through before we bring on our special guest for the episode. So our grandparents were some of the most hardworking people. That generation, they do not make them like they used to, okay? And they had a hobby and a passion for mud racing, being outdoors, hunting, really did love just like that outdoor lifestyle, adventure lifestyle. Our grandfather was really into racing, the mud races. They would go on the weekends and stuff with their friends. And as most men during that time frame, super competitive, wanted to win.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the ways he kept getting stuck was his tires. He couldn't get through those thick mud because we're down in Louisiana. And so he was like, I've got to figure out a way to get bigger tires on my Bronco. And so that's like what started Skyjacker, a hobby that created and turned into this amazing business that has now led us into 3 generations.
Yep.
As Evan and I are 3rd generation. And so from there, it just kind of like catapulted of just this amazing life that they worked really, really hard for. A lot of really cool things. We've worked with movie sets, with actors, with musicians, but also like family members getting to be in the car seat and going up Hell's Revenge in Moab. And now our kids get to go out there with us. 4th generation is already out enjoying this lifestyle and this industry. So it's been a really fun journey. Our parents, his dad, Lonnie McCurry Jr., is our president, and my mom, Cindy, is our CFO. And so 2nd gen has been here from the beginning. And now it's Evan and I.
Yep.
And we're trying to carry the torch, which is really exciting. But we both know, especially being brought up from the beginning to where it is now, that there's no way to make it to 50 plus years successfully without incredible employees and without a major backbone of team of people behind you. And we're actually really blessed to have that. We actually have, I counted this today. We have a ton under these numbers, but we have 6 employees that this year have hit a 20-year mark, 3 that hit 25, 1 30, and 1 non-family member who hit 43 years this year. And all of those numbers are non-family. And so you just don't see that anymore.
No, you don't find that anymore. And they're non-family, but they might be family whether they like it or
whether
not.
Whether they like it or not, yes, for sure. And I think that is the thing about family business and small business. It's so different than corporate. And I also think one of the reasons we wanted to do this episode specifically is people think we're like a huge conglomerate because we do sell worldwide, not just in the United States. And so that's why today our perfect guest is Jeff. And Jeff Worley has been with us for this year in August, 25 years. So over or at exactly half of our company's history, he's been here. And Jeff is the controller of our company. So Jeff, hi.
Hello.
Thank you for coming on today.
It's a privilege.
Yes. Can you tell us exactly like what your role is at Skyjacker?
Sure. It's well, I don't know if I can be exact because because the controller is in a typical business is certain things, but I do a lot more things with human resources, benefits, and things of that nature. And and on the corporate side, helping expand the business, helping align the business to stay in compliance with government, things of that nature. And it's the accounting side, it's the financial side, but it's other stuff also.
So you didn't put therapist in there.
Well, I have therapy, and I do that about 3 or 4 times a week. When I walk out of here, I get a set of golf clubs and I go play golf. That's my therapy.
Yeah. And you have to have that.
Oh, yeah. You have to check out.
Yeah.
You have to check out.
Well, and I think just to your point, naming all the different things that you do, like you said, my title might be this, but I do all of these things. And I think that is one thing, which I'll let you get into that, but that separates family business and small business from corporate. And so one of the reasons that we wanted to have you on for this specific episode was because you've actually worked in both.
Right.
Even though you've been here for 25 years of the company's growth, you actually were able to bring a lot of things to the table because you worked in a corporate setting. So can you just kind of start from the beginning and give us your path of work and how you got here?
I have to go back to the beginning because actually I was getting my degree and I was actually working here part-time. I got my degree in accounting and finance, and I worked here part-time. And then from that, I was hired. Back then, it was called CenturyTel. It's gone from CenturyTel to Lumen now. And I was with them for 13 years and working in the telecommunication industry and in the corporate setting, wearing a tie, wearing a coat, all that kind of mess. And some of the things that the policies, the procedures, the way they conduct business, the way they set up structure, those are the things that I brought in when I came in to Skyjacker. However, I didn't come straight in from Century. I left Century and went with a startup, which was really fun. It was a telecommunications startup over in Dallas. We moved our family to Dallas, and right before I moved over there, Mr. McCurry and JR approached me about coming over. And I showed them my deal, and they weren't prepared. Being a family-owned business, they weren't prepared for that kind of deal.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, no big deal. Well, if it happens, it happens, you know? So we went over there, and about a year and a half later, JR approached me again over there, and it was time. So we moved back, and my role here was, they gave me the title of controller. I worked directly with Miss Nail, which Miss Nail, I miss Miss Nail. I worked with her 3 years directly with her, and she's a jewel. She is irreplaceable.
And she's also savage for people who see our grandmother. She's, just to cut in on this, she's like 5'3" or 4. I don't want to offend her, but she's like this tiny little sweet thing. But until you get into like a room of business, and then she's not a tiny little sweet thing. And Jeff knows that more than anybody.
Oh, she would tell me, she would have meetings with a CPA or with on taxes and things of that. She says, and she would find errors that they would, but she knew the business, and she knew how to handle Mr. McCurry, and so she did. Yeah.
Well, I think it's important to add too that, like, for most of the history, Pawpaw built the product, designed the product, and Mama basically did everything else.
That's right.
That's and so it's right. Like, she was the one doing marketing, doing financials, helping in operations, HR, like all this stuff, to where then when you were able to come in, it was just probably a really good dynamic. I would like to assume back then.
One of the things when I came in, because they didn't have this position, it was a new position. When I came in, Miss Nail says, "What am I going to do now?" I said, "You're going to do whatever you want to do."
Yeah.
And that gave her the freedom to. What she did was she would go from department to department and just sit. She would come in my office every day, and we'd sit for about an hour, and then she'd move on to the next department. And that was continuity. That was she would hear this, she would hear that, and she could put all that together and formulate a plan going forward.
I love that, and I do miss that.
Yes, I do too. I miss the conversations with her, because she's very easy to talk with. She's very easy to work with. And don't get me wrong, we all have our
days.
tipping point.
Yes.
But she was very gracious. She honored God with the way she talked to people and the way she conducted business, and I admire her.
And for those who are listening or who don't know our family as well, our grandmother is still alive and here.
Yes.
She has some health things, and so she's not able to be in the office like she was. They're both, older, but I can say our grandfather's still here every day. And if our grandmother felt how she used to, or if her health was better, she would also still be here every day. It's hard for her to not be. So just putting that out there.
Well, we also, this past year, we formulated a board of directors. And so she comes in for that, and she's still sort of in touch, but not as intimately as in touch as she was prior to that.
Well, let's shift and talk about that, because I know family business, I've only been a part and worked deeply into this one, but you just talk to other friends and industry people who are also family business. And when you tell them that we've created a board, they're like, oh, wow. And so what from your experiences working in the corporate side helped you? Because you really helped spearhead and push, for us to have the board. So, I mean, was that the knowledge of that helpful to be able to help us start it?
Absolutely, because it was getting to the point where it needed more credible voices, and where you could sit down in a setting and talk about it instead of a one-off meeting. This way we could come together, because leading up to that board, if we made a decision on something, I would go to this one, I would go to this one. I kind of had an impromptu board meeting, but it was individual with each one of them. This way we could pull it together. Plus, we had to redo our bylaws, and that took us a year to do that, because they were 50 some odd years old, and that was very, very enlightening and very educational, and I enjoyed it. I enjoy that kind of stuff, but I think that having the board gives voices in a good setting, in not a confrontational. I'm sure there are going to be some times when it is confrontational, but this gives us a venue to set an agenda and have some structure where we can discuss business.
Which I think for anybody, and I know Evan being family will also feel this way, especially third generation. I think it's really hard to have all three generations in a room and agree. Because it is so vastly different. And even though we're so blessed to have first generation still here, and obviously second, it's really hard, I think, for there to be a good communication, because we communicate differently than they do, first of all. But then also just our energy as they're on the latter end wanting to slow down. We're like, no, we can't. No, we don't get to do that.
Well, look at this, what we're doing today, podcast.
Right.
I mean, this is something, these things are very credible, very needed, and just moving, you're expanding your market. You're making your brand more solid in the market, and that's valuable.
And I do think, it's really cool, obviously, to be able to do the podcast. And Evan and I have been around all of these industry people. I mean, just some of the most incredible people. And we have some incredible employees here. But I can say the fact that first generation and some of our parents, because JR was one of our first essentially marketing directors, put out a catalog, all our first catalog, all those things with our other 40 plus year employee. And they didn't have the resources that I have as marketing director now. I don't even know how they did it. When I look back at Mama's stuff, her hand drawing things from the SEMA booth at the 50 year, the fact that they actually accomplished what they did without the tools that we have today blows my mind.
It's grit.
Yes.
I mean, they just wanted it.
Yeah,
they were going to make it happen.
It was mail order.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the internet back then. Mail order. They would see the magazine or the catalog or whatever, and they would place the order. They had to send their money in, and it would be a cashier's check or something like that, and then we would ship it out to them. And so that's how it happened. And the mail was very important to us back then. And now it's the internet, it's a website, it's this kind of stuff.
When you were doing corporate side, and then you came back, you were here corporate, then came back. Were we really far behind as far as technologies and things like that? I know we've come a long way, and you've helped spearhead. You and Evan both have really helped spearhead a lot of those procedures to be up to date, and we have an amazing IT department. But going back and forth to both, like, could you see the difference? Like, was it truly like, oh wow, small business and smaller family business, they really were behind compared to corporate?
Yes, and that's a short, trite answer, but yes. What I mean, there's a lot to that, because they were still doing a lot of things right, but there's some things we could do better. And coming from the corporate environment, that allowed us to, whether it be on the employee side or the business side, because the benefits and things of that nature, we modified things like that to better accommodate to retain people,
Right.
because that's extremely important, is to retain people. Because I remember the first time I did the W-2s, we had roughly around somewhere between 45 and 50 employees, but I did 80 plus W-2s. That's a lot of turnover. So we were able to do something with the benefits and pay and wise, and where we're nowhere near that.
Yeah.
And the other side of it is the data. Data is, I came from a telecommunications company, and when we would purchase companies, we needed their data to go into our system, so that because basically the most expensive part of our business was to dispatch somebody to go take care of somebody's house. Well, if you had the data, you wouldn't have to do it. You could fix it in the system.
Yeah.
So I looked at it this way when we looked at our data that we have today, to make it easier for customers to do business with us. And we could just hand them or download or this or that.
Yeah.
We could increase our market share. And plus, not only that, I wanted to go international. We that's the only way we can expand our market internationally, and so those are the things that the data side of it is a big deal, and we are catching up. As far as, we're not there yet, but we are certainly made strides to with our data side.
There's been a lot of progress on that, I would say, in the past 2 years.
Yes,
It's come a long way.
Yes,
A long way.
And that was one of the probably the biggest things to overcome or realize, because we would go buy a truck or a Bronco or whatever the case may be, and that's it's expensive, yes, but that vehicle and our data increasing is just as important, and just
Yes, I can definitely see how the shift has happened for the uppers, the owners, to realize that there's just as much value in putting that amount of dollar amount into our data and our policies, our technologies, as it is to buying a new vehicle. And I think that that is something we were definitely behind on. But I do think that because the team of people, and because you're here, which I think, and Evan, I think, can attest to this too, you hear all the time when all these big, huge conglomerates are buying out all these other brands. I feel like, there's hardly any left that are still family owned, which is really special for us to still have this. I know it would have been easy to sell out, everybody's circumstances are different. But I'm very proud that we're still here and family owned.
Absolutely.
But you hear a lot of times, oh, they're just the numbers guys. They're just the numbers guys. They don't understand the brand. They're not enthusiasts. And that's why some of these brands die. And I think it's really special for us that you're really not an enthusiast.
Right.
You're a golfer. If that's what our job.
I will tell you this. I go back to when I was in high school. I used to go. My uncle raced He had a Bronco and he raced, and I'd always go to the mud races. And I remember they would go back into the woods, and you just have to listen. Oh, he's over there. He's over there. Then they went to the oval track, and which was you could sit in a whatever grandstand and watch it. And I remember Lonnie McCurry's four-wheel drive. It wasn't Skyjacker, but it was Lonnie McCurry's four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And I said, I would love to. It wasn't a. I don't mean to. It wasn't something I was looking because it was a family-owned business.
Yeah.
But
it was something exciting.
Yeah.
Different.
Oh, I'd love to have it was four-wheel drives. It was,
Yeah. I think that man part of you.
Yeah, I think it's what we do is so cool. I think you don't even have to necessarily enjoy it or be a part of it, but it's always intriguing.
Oh yeah,
to somebody who's maybe not an enthusiast of it, but it's always intriguing.
And the other piece of this is as I worked here, as you look at as the economy ebb and flows up and down, this is disposable income. People don't have to have our product.
Yeah.
But the American public loves working or building or doing whatever with their vehicles. I don't care what socioeconomic you're at. They're gonna do something,
a project
on their vehicle, whether it's a car, truck, Bronco, whatever it is. And I'm not gonna say it defies the economy, but it does.
Well, I think
people would rather have a nice looking vehicle and they live in a.
Yeah, that's some of it. I think some of it too is how good the Lord's been to us as well.
Absolutely.
Especially, I was not here when the economy was tough, in 07, 08 when that happened. But from what I hear and how the Lord took care of us, it's one of those stories that reminds us to always steward the blessings the Lord has given us the most wisely manner that we can, and to bless His kingdom, and in return He'll bless us.
Yes.
And I think that's just a testament of how our grandparents and how our parents and how everybody who's had a decision-making authority here have lived those principles. And I think that's important, especially for Malerie and I to really see that. Because third generation, we weren't necessarily here. We didn't see the first generation build it, right? My dad, her mom, they did see it, but I think there's a lot of maybe not history loss, but some of the meanings and sacrifices that the second generation saw, the third generation didn't. And we've seen that out of our parents in the second generation. But I think that's coming off this 50th anniversary year has been so crucial for me, and I know for you too, just to learn the struggles and what it took to actually start a business, build a business, maintain a business, and grow a business. And I just think all that to say, it's just a blessing that we're able to talk with you, still have our grandparents and parents here that we're able to continue learn the history of the business, steward the business well with the blessings that the Lord has blessed us with.
Yes.
And treat those around us right.
Exactly. That's important. How you treat people and customers.
Yes.
I mean, just people in general, whether it's an employee or a customer.
Well, and I was going to follow up from that. And when I was saying earlier about corporate guide, not a normal enthusiast side of it, I do think that one of the reasons, aside from wanting to have something different and exciting, and automotive is, it's exciting no matter what. I think it gives a different interest than just a sitting behind the desk for a normal, whatever. But I think, at least what I can tell from you with your age range of where you're at with the group of people who have been here, I feel like the reason you've stayed, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, compared to going somewhere else or going back to corporate is because of the faith and the people here and the relationships that you've built. So even though you're not you're not taking your Jeep out wheeling on the weekend, you stayed because of the relationships and wanted to better the family business.
Yes. I agree 100% there, because the way I looked at it is as you grow revenue, as you grow net income, guess what? You get to give more to God. And so that's the way I looked at it too. And plus, I love the people that I work with, care about them. And we don't have outside we don't go out and eat and all, but we have a good relationship, a good working relationship, a camaraderie, a respect, things of that nature. They bring me in on things that I enjoy doing, just help making a decision. And when I was at the corporate side, they just said, go do, they already made the decision.
Right.
Here, what I like about it is you can take it from the boardroom to the warehouse,
Yeah.
and you can treat those people the way you want to be treated. And that's extremely important. I mean, you're going to have people that are going to turn over a lot, but you got a core group that that you respect, that you want to honor and treat them as you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's special for sure, because as much as it's everything is so wonderful at so many different times, and yes, there's great camaraderie, we know we're family, and we know how hard family business is. And so I guess my point to that is, Evan and I, we have a legacy to fight for. Like, when it gets hard, it's like, oh, well, suck it up. Like, we have a choice, but we took that choice off. Like, we have to stay and we have to fight. So if it gets crappy and really hard, we have to like go for it and like just stay in the fight, where it's like, the employees don't have to do that. Like, this isn't their legacy. Like, yes, they get a paycheck here, and yes, we love them and we feel like so many of our employees are family, but this is not their family business or legacy.
Sure.
And so it's like the fact that so many have stayed, I think it's just a testament to you guys as well, who've stayed in the fight with us when we know it hasn't been easy, because especially when you got 3 generations in here now, when everybody first started, it was just Mama and Pawpaw.
Yeah. And
then
JR
it came in JR and Cindy. So you've had these 4 owners, which Evan and I aren't at that place yet, but we still are growing up and building our businesses, our lanes within the business. And so we're having more of a say as we get older and we grow, improve our spaces and things like that. And so I just, I joke with all of you all the time, like, thank you for staying. Thank you for staying. You're never allowed to leave. I'm like, are we going to, especially for some of our guys who are getting older, I'm like, okay, what are we going to offer you to stay on part-time? Like, you don't leave us.
You can never retire.
Yes. One of them actually like said something about retiring in a couple of years. And I was like, absolutely not. They're like, Malerie, I want to enjoy. I was like, absolutely not. No, you do not get to leave us.
Actually, we haven't had one fully retire yet, but we're on the verge of that.
But you've helped be able to work a policy in place for that we didn't have before.
Absolutely. And that was some other stuff you're talking about, like an employee manual, just the small things that give structure to a business that help the employees feel at peace where they're at, so that they, sometimes though, all they care about is what they get paid versus other benefits, because we're unique in this area where we pay 100% of our employees health insurance,
which is really incredible.
And it is expensive. And we run 49 to 51 employees roughly a year, and that's not a big group. No. And not everybody's on it. But
yes, but I can say, just because we've been privileged enough to hear some of those hard conversations, I know for a fact, if this was a corporate situation, when money got tight, we don't care. That's the first thing that's going to go. But our owners are like, no, we want to do this for our people. This matters. And so they really fight for that, even though that might take money out of their, pocket. They are willing to sacrifice that. And I think that that's, really important. And those are things that we hope to be able to continue, but man, that's hard.
Yeah, I think it's important to say like that our parents, grandparents are willing to sacrifice, personal resources first to take care of the business and the employees. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why it's, we look up and it's a 51, 52-year-old business.
Yeah. One of the things that we were going through right before COVID, I may have been right in COVID, I can't exactly remember. We did an expansion the largest expansion we'd ever done. Over 25,000 square feet. Expanded R&D and built a manufacturing area. And I was going, oh, should we do this now? I mean, it was a godsend. It really was, because now it would probably cost us double.
Right.
Well, and also we've grown so much in the past, I would say 6 years, we wouldn't be able to have even fit. So we would have been forced to add on and forced to take on that expense now. Or like you said, it was probably double, honestly, probably tripled.
Yeah. Well, we did. I think we were around 40,000 square feet. We're right now 80.
Yeah, we're a little bit over 85,000 square feet under roof.
Yes.
Which is really crazy to think about when you look back at the original building here and how far it's come, which again is just another testament to the Lord, to the work ethic of our family, and then to our employees who've helped streamline this.
And building off that too, I think it's important to say with the new expansion that we did, that was because for years, the mindset was to grow to grow debt free. And so it's one of those things like they just added a building here as it was could afford it, added a building here as you could afford it. And so that was so our tubing shop and our welders were over here, our CNCs were over here, this was over there. So it was like to get a product to finish good, you had to circle the whole dang facility. And so this expansion let us go from a 2-bay R&D to a 7-bay R&D, so we could do more projects in there and move all of our equipment for manufacturing into one place, so it can go through and circle in that one building and come out a finished good. The only thing we don't have on site yet is finished coatings like powder coater zinc, but. So it comes in and it leaves ready to get a coating on it, and then it's done.
But the other thing, through the 25 years I've been here, we used to outsource all the welding, cutting, things of that nature. But through the years, those businesses either sold or shut down or whatever, and we brought all that in house. So when I came here, we were listed as a wholesaler. So I changed it to be a manufacturer, so we could take advantage, or at least dabble in economic development, where we could get, forego property taxes or take advantage of employees that live in low income areas, things of that nature. And it has been, that was fun. That's fun.
And I think it's important to touch on that about the manufacturing, because even though we have this incredible business, which we sell worldwide to, we're still a small business, and there's a lot of, and I don't mean this in an offensive way to our owners, but it's almost like a small business minded space a lot of times, because they've had to handle so many job duties. There's not that creativity to think bigger sometimes. And so to have employees like you who come on, who can see this bigger picture of no, we need to move into a manufacturing space. We've been doing it already. Yeah. Why not name it that? And now we have a whole nother business side that is SJ Manufacturing.
Yes.
And you helped get them there. And so I think it's just a blessing that you came back and that you've been here.
One of the things that helped fuel that too is the fact that when we went through COVID, we had small packages going out like crazy. And
the spike was insane.
Yes. Yeah. And we never had large internet sales prior to that. And now our largest customer is our website.
Yeah.
So the thing is we need to be able to manufacture it so that we can turn it around within 2 or 3 days instead of 2 or 3 weeks. And we are set up for it. We are set up for that. And that is because if we look in our inventory, it says, hey, we don't have this, but hey, I can get this to you in 2 or 3 days. If we go cut it, weld it, and have it colored and turn it around in 2 or 3 days, we hadn't we hadn't accomplished that 100%.
Yeah.
But we are on the way to do that.
Yeah, we're really close.
Yes.
And I know that it's easier said than done.
Yes.
And until I got more involved and until you get to be a part of the inner workings of that on different levels, you really think, well, why can't you do that fast? Why isn't it working that fast? Well, it actually does take a ton of moving parts because you have to think in order to do that, you have to shut down equipment. You have to move equipment. So you have to be ahead of production in order to do that. And
it's like what just happened. Like we finally, a year or two later are like, all right, let's move our laser into the new building. And then the laser head goes down. And so you can't move it while the laser head's down because then if it's moved, they don't know what the problem was or if it was them or a previous fault or if it was in the move. And so now it's like, all right, great. Well, let's get the laser back up and running, get that good, and then we'll talk about it again for a later date.
And that's not a small piece of equipment.
No. Oh, no.
No.
That's probably a week or 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and I just think that's the difference too between energy and generation is, it's like, oh, well, no, we have to reset, regroup, look at a later date. We'll go a couple months out. And we're like, no. It's back up.
It's still priority.
Let's meet. Let's set a date. Like, so they're always, I think, looking at us like that side eye, like, be quiet. And we're always like, well, come on. So we Evan and I are having to, we have a lot of private meetings, Evan and I, because we're just like, we want to say this. We're like, but that wasn't the time or it wasn't the right, moment. And so anyway, we're still.
Well, I think it's important too. It's like, important for us to be intentional because lack of intentionality creates repetitions of what is easiest. And I don't want to fall into that slump, because for us, especially for me, this is all I know. So it's like, I have to make this work because this is all I ever want to do. And it's like, so we have first generation and second generation, all with different opinions, all with different buying habits, all with different processes on how they would do things. And it's like, look, let's just at least do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love that. That is, I think, the difference. I do think, and I can say, as we get ready to finish up, and we want to ask you one more question, but I can say that there's so many things you can say. There's so many ebbs and flows, good and bad, like Evan said when we first opened this morning. But I can say that I do think that second gen for sure has really grown and really helped back us on that space. I do think the more Evan and I grow and prove ourselves, first gen is getting there to also listen to what we have to say more.
Yeah, I would agree.
Definitely, like I said, their generation is kids sit down, kids don't get hurt, like sit down, little boy, or sit down, little girl. Well, but, I think now they see that we care, we work hard, like we're putting in blood, sweat, and tears too. So I do think that I do think that Skyjacker moving forward is going to be a more fast acting, a more efficient, more not sit around and wait. We might have to fight it and push still, but I do think they are more willing to do that.
Well, being a child and a grandchild, it's difficult to be sitting in a boardroom or in a meeting or whatever the case may be and not agree with your dad or your grandfather or your grandmother. Yeah. And you're put into a situation. Do I agree with them because he's my dad or my grandfather or grandmother or mother or whatever it is?
Or do I disagree because of that same reason?
Exactly. That's true. That's true. That is tough. That is tough for you guys. Yeah. That is a different element from any other non-family corporation. Decision making.
Well, I think it's hard. It's something that like I've had to learn, and I would say in the past few years, it's like if me and Dad are talking about something, and Dad has his way of doing it, and in my mind, I perceive this as the best way of doing it. It's not that Dad's way is wrong, and it's not that my way is necessarily wrong either. But it's the fact of like we're just two completely different people that have a different way to get to the goal. And honestly, Dad's way might be a little better just because he has a lot more experience. But I'm still going to push, a certain way just to keep freshness and new life. And
whether it was a family-owned business or not, you're not always going to get your way 100%. You got to give and take.
Yeah.
And whether it's your parents or your grandparents or you worked in a separate, you got to give some way. Yeah. To go forward.
Well, and I think that kind of takes us, unless you have something else to add to that, I think it kind of helps us go into our ending question that we want to ask. I know for me, especially because we touched on Mama, if someone were to ask me what was the best advice anybody ever gave me, starting out, she was my first meeting with her, like when we were dealing with a contract. And back then it's when the magazines were the only way you advertised, the best way you advertised them. It was my first contract negotiation. And this was like my first week in the marketing manager position. And so I'm in there with her, and I think your dad was in there too, because us three always were kind of together when I first started. And she was like, I don't like that price. And I was like, okay. And she was like, ask them to lower the price and ask them for a free issue if we go at that price, because that price is higher. I understand they've gone up.
Put the payments out.
Or spread the payments out, which
That's always been one of her
gosh, the
deals.
first time she had me ask that, I literally could have hit under the table. I was like, what do you mean? And I remember she just looked at me deadpan and she was like, no, you're going to ask. What's they going to say? No.
Yeah.
The worst they could say is no, and then you're in the same situation you already are in. Or you ask because you have the guts to ask, they change it for you. And then they're like, okay, maybe I want to work with her a little bit more, do whatever. And I just will never forget that, because I had done some other things before I came here and did my own business. And so, I mean, I was used to being able to speak and talk, whatever, but never. And I felt like it's such like this intense environment of contract negotiation, the amount of money that it was. And anyway, so that was the best advice anybody had ever given me, is just ask. And so I try to always tell anybody who asks me that. I try to relay that. And so we want to ask you, what's the best advice someone's ever given you that you've been able to relate to business?
It has to do with people. Treating people how you want to be treated. My mom and dad, the way they raised me is, whether you're a janitor or you're the CEO, treat them the same.
Love
how
that.
you want to be treated.
Yeah.
And respect what they do. Don't look down on them because they do something less than you or whatever, because there you could be also.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, I love working with people. I know a lot of accounting people are they put me in a corner. I like relationships. I like getting dirty with relationships because they're not all clean.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And it's okay to disagree too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Yeah.
You know that I love that one.
Yeah.
Being able to agree to disagree is one of the hardest things, I think. Just our world in general has a hard time. Everybody is so offended.
Right.
And there's many times where I have to watch myself. Like, am I being offended, or am I like, can I be okay that we just disagree?
Yeah.
And so that's so good.
And dealing, we in my role here has dealing with the CEO versus dealing with a $12 an hour warehouse guy.
Yeah.
I mean, treat them both with respect, how you would want to be treated. Give them all the options that they have, and of course there are policies and procedures we have, just like laws. I mean, you got to abide by them, and go that route. Say, I hate it, but this is the deal, and show it with respect. Don't look down on them because of where they're at or what they've done or whatever the case may be. Treat them how you'd want to be treated.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. I think it's important too, that's seen all throughout the Bible as well.
Yes.
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 Jesus, when he was here on earth, didn't treat, the guy with leprosy any different than he did his disciple.
Right.
So good.
Right. And he never failed to reach out to them, whether they were a Gentile or a Jew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they looked down on the Gentiles as trash. They wouldn't have them in their house.
Right.
Things like that. And I just think that no matter where you're at in life, treat them how you want to be treated. And I think they'll see it. You don't even have to say it. They'll see it.
Yeah.
You'll earn their respect, and you'll respect them.
I was going to say, they'll respect you and they'll probably see Jesus the first time, and who knows how long that they see Jesus in somebody.
And you don't even have to say anything about Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
His light shines straight through that.
Because it'll open a door.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to talk to that person about it, whatever the case may be. And that's just, I like, because in church, I like small groups, and we just talk.
Yeah.
We just talk about what's going on with your life. No, I can't solve everything. Yeah. And neither can.
Oh, come on.
No. I said, but I'll walk with you through it.
Well, you need somebody who's willing to hop in the ditch and get muddy with you
exactly.
to walk through life's, dirtiest moments.
And you don't have a lot of friends that'll do that with you. Mm-mm. If you got that one or two friends, they will.
It's a treasure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so good. Well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for being here for 25 years. Yeah. Thank you, Lord. But also for all the things you brought to the table.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't plan to go anywhere.
Yeah, we don't allow that.
Better not.
Because I'm getting to an age where I'm you can see my white hair. It's not getting any lighter, but it's getting thinner.
I don't know who could have possibly given you all those. Not us. No, we really appreciate you. And we appreciate you being on our first episode ever. It truly means the world. And we just want everybody to stay tuned. We have, like Evan said in our introduction this morning, some really great employees, industry partners, ambassadors, some legends. We have some really great things that we get asked all the time. And we just feel like, why not talk about it? We know that any other family business or any other person in business or even in this industry probably has a lot of the same struggles and peaks as we do. And so we're looking forward to Built in the Bayou and what all we're going to be bringing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.